And we live.
We live. Okay.
Oh my God.
All right. Yeah, baby.
Okay. Let's do this. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, yo. Welcome to Hitting the Bars.
We did not plan an intro or an intro segment or anything, so we're just going in raw. And you know what? That's how we do it here. Right off the get-go.
Yes, we're going with the flow. That's Kelty and I's friendship. And we're going to portray it on this podcast.
Oh, I guess for our audio listeners, this voice belongs to Kelty.
And this voice belongs to a girl named Savannah.
Otherwise known as Sav.
Yeah. You guys can call me Sav. What else? Do you have a nickname?
Actually, people call me KOC. That's a common nickname, which if pronounced, KOC just literally is a really inappropriate word. So that's
You are swinging right now. What do you mean inappropriate?
Another word for men genitalias. I guess we're doing profanity and...
Oh, dear.
I might have to...
Please bleep that out.
Please, we'll bleep that one. That's a little too harsh. We'll have profanity, but that word is where we draw the line.
She said chicken for those that were confused.
Yeah, so...
Too funny.
We're uncensored here, but we do have a point.
Yes.
We do have a point of censorship.
I was just wondering because I'm like, Kelty. I've never been like, hey, Kelt. What's up, Kelt?
Yeah. Oh, only my dad calls me Kelt, and so it's really traumatizing. So let's KOC. Let's just go with Kelty. But then if we want a nice little nickname to my drunk alter ego, it is KOC.
Okay, I love it. Everyone has a drunk alter ego.
Exactly.
If you say you don't, you're lying.
True. You're like, everyone has one. My best friend's one name is Patricia. What's your drunk alter ego name? We need one for it.
I have yet to be blessed with one. I think we need a night out and we will come up with an alter ego name. I did have a friend though in college that she had a crazy alter ego. I can't remember what it was, like Veronica or something like that. And she was the sweetest, like to this day, we're good friends, sweetest girl. But when she drinks, she's psycho.
The devil comes out.
She's crazy. She's low-key a little mean. And I'm just like, we'd be like, dang it, right. Samantha has left the building. And it was just, she was the first time I ever found out what alter egos were when you're drunk.
Oh my God. And then they got a call in the morning and they're like, I'm sorry, and their anxiety's through the roof. It's like, it's okay. It wasn't you. It was Samantha.
Until it happens too many times. And then I'm like, all right, you're cut off, ma'am. Bring her back.
And it's like, no, the real you has just been exposed at this point. It's not an alter ego.
Yes.
It's like you're just crappy, hiding it.
Exactly. Precisely.
Amazing. Well, despite the fact we've talked a lot about drinking, it's not just a fully drinking podcast. This podcast, me and Sav bonded over the fact that we both like fitness. We both have fitness accounts, but then we are not... just fitness. We also like tequila and going out and the finer things in life.
Yes, absolutely. Honestly, how we figured that out about each other, I would say was when we met in Denver. Our managers thought that we would be a great fit together. Go figure. And we got together, we had lunch, we filmed as, fun fitness gals. And then I was going to hang out with my friend Maddie. And I was like, Kelty, come. And, sometimes people be like, oh yeah, I'll come. But they're like, kind of too lazy, something comes up, I get it. You were like, okay, and you literally walked across like the town of Denver in the nighttime to have like a couple beers with us. And I was like, this girl can get down.
I will never say I'm the best role model, but I do enjoy when someone says beer, I will do any trek. I will walk any amount of distance. That is where fitness comes into handy. Don't have to worry about drinking and driving. You just walk there, get your fitness in, and then have beers. And that's how we bonded. Even the fitness world is kind of a funny one, especially online, where you don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. You don't want to be like, oh, you want to go for a drink? Because it's kind of taboo. And you're like right away getting into someone's morals. But I feel me and Sav instantly clicked. We're like, we get each other.
Yeah. Like we're both just chill gals that like to have a cocktail. We're not crazy. We had our crazy days in college, but which we can always bond over, and they're funny and there's great stories that will come one day. But yeah, it's nice to just like have a glass of wine while watching like The Bachelor with a friend, or like when we hang out, we're like, oh, let's just go grab a margarita. Like, why not? Who cares about the calories? Who cares about the sugar? I want tequila in that
Empty
moment.
calories are sometimes the funnest calories, and you need the fun times in life. It's not always just macros and every day is perfect, and you need those wild nights. And of course, we're a little bit past that stage, so sometimes it will be big sister advice reminding the college students of what we went through, and then we're still love our Vegas trips with friends, and like you said, glass of wine at the end of the night, and just like how we balance that all / some old fun drunk stories we're going to reveal to the internet, because that sounds healthy.
Absolutely. Nailed it. Nail on the head right there, Kelty.
Perfect. So we figured, you might already feel this, we thought the first way to start this video off is, because some of you might know us from the internet, some of us might know from YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, but you might be hearing us for the first time or not know much about us. So we thought the perfect way would be to interview each other, and I will be interviewing Sav for this first episode and getting to know all about her fitness journey, who created this absolute bundle of joy that we know on the internet, and it just brings us, like, you just, whatever you pop up on my newsfeed, or obviously I know you in real life now, it's just smiles, it's good energy, it's what fitness should be, just allowing you to do more. At no point do I look at a Sav page and be like, I gotta, like, I never feel like I have to like cut out joyfulness. And we want to know who created this beautiful creature, and that's what we're gonna do today. Before we dive into it, you'll notice this visual, and this is a little all over the place. We are doing this virtually. One day we'll be in person, but we're just starting it simple and building. So one day we'll look back at the studio and be like, this is where we started. You got to start low. Start the bar low for the visuals.
Exactly.
And then move our way up.
Exactly. You know, we're trying our best. I am currently sitting in this very odd guest room that we have. The sun is about to go down, but you know what? We're making it work. Kelty and I have a 4-hour difference between each other right now. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it will come to 3 hours soon. So don't worry.
Bless,
I'll be on Eastern time, blessed up. An hour is so nice.
Oh, it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
It really does. Yeah. I'm like in bed and you're having dinner, but like 3 hours, I'm almost in bed. Or not quite yet.
Or Sav like called me, her and Nona called me on Monday as a FaceTime. I'm like, I'm dead asleep, like in bed still. And they're like FaceTime, like, oh, let's wait, asleep. I'm still just dead asleep. They didn't wake me. I'm just like, just won't pick up.
Yeah.
But
we're like driving and we're like, oh my gosh, we need to call Kelty. And we call and we're like, she ignored us. Then I look and I'm like, no, it's 6:30
I'm dead asleep
a.m. for her. And we're both like, I thought you get up and run, man. So we were like, well, maybe she'll answer.
I did.
You did call us again. Yeah, you did call us again. I don't know your entire, routine regimen. So I was like, maybe she's an early riser. But I also knew you were flying back from LA. So it was a little iffy on my part.
I was gonna say, I am an early riser. Fun fact today. But then also I haven't slept in like 10 days because I was traveling to LA. And LA was half healthy with Anna and workout and Gymshark, and half intoxication, just like this podcast.
I love it.
So my sleep was not prioritized. So now we're a bit more on the wellnessy. But yeah, you caught me when I was like, no alarm, phone on do not disturb. I'm dead to the world.
Yeah. I don't blame you. We were like, we accept it. It's okay. No, but we tried. I appreciate. Don't forget that.
I know. I was so sad. I woke up. I was like, oh, and I know Nona was with you too. So I was like, oh no, I missed it. I was so sad.
I know. It's okay. One day we're going to have a girls trip. We've talked about it.
It's going to happen.
We'll reunite.
We will bring you the podcast on. We'll do like a virtual vlog podcast. We'll bring the microphone out.
That'd be so
and
fun.
Just little tequila. We'll sample some tequila and just see where the night goes.
Oh, great. I love sampling your tequila.
Yes.
Kelty made me sample. What was it called? It was a segment for YouTube. We just got straight. Yes. And we just got like straight up shots of tequila. And I was just like miserable. And I'm like, can I have some juice in this? Some limes? You're like, doesn't it taste wonderful? Ooh, that aftermath. And I was like, no, I can't hang. I need a mixer on his house.
That's my only snobbiness is tequila. Just a good tequila, like taste it. I really don't know anything. It's all talk. Just like when people talk about wine, they go, the oakiness and all this. I'm like, no, this tastes good or not. I'm going to get a buzz or not. And then I'm like, it's smooth or burns my tongue. And that's the actual ratio. But I'm going to pretend like I'm knowledgeable and be like, oh, the oak and this must be aged 2 years. I'm just really good at bullshit.
Yes,
that what bartending taught me.
One time Michael and I went like wine tasting with friends that like got certified in like France or something. We were like, wow, your stuff. And so we start wine tasting, and literally Michael takes notes and turns to me and goes, "It tastes like grapes." And they probably wanted to smack us. And we were like, and I'm like, "You're not wrong. It does taste like a grape, sir." So point for you.
We just simple. We don't need to go too much in complex. I'm there for the end point. I'm there for the buzz, and it tastes good.
Yes.
That's usually all that matters. Those two. Everything else is I'm like,
Absolutely.
it's all bogus. You're all lying. Can you really tell? Can you really tell?
No, never. At least not me. Love to hear if anyone actually knows. Those are things. Please.
There's
hit us in the DMs.
There's a documentary, and it's like sommelier or Soms or rotten grapes or something it's called, and it's all about sommeliers and how it's all crap, and how like they like blind tested all these professionals with this random wine, and anyways, like the professionals couldn't tell the difference between this just 1 year old wine from middle of nowhere. I completely butchered that. That's not wrong. Do not quote me. But the moral of the story was it was just kind of them being like, oh, to all my sommeliers out there, I love you. I want to drink wine with you, and I'll listen to you talk beautifully, but I'm suspicious.
I was like, cue sommeliers in Kelton's DMs right now, just being like angry.
My first cancellation.
Wow, you're a bold woman right there. Yeah, I was
just
like,
going straight for the sommelier. I'm just kidding. They're like, but this is coming from
Kelton's
someone who has no actual experience in wine or anything. So this is me. Just remember, this is an entertainment podcast, not a factual base. There'll be some facts, but we're going for the entertainment. We're not going for scientific literature.
Clearly, according to Kelty. Well, should we jump in, lady?
Yeah, let's go talk about, before you cancel us, know our stories. Let's go back where where we come from. Know people's journeys.
Can you tell that Kelty and I we never stopped talking, period?
I'm sorry, they're probably, whoever came here for just straight fitness was like, hey, we talked about sommeliers, wine testing, tequila, all this kind of stuff. They get to it. We are getting here. I'm doing a quick pivot, and we're starting.
Perfect. Yes.
Square run.
Just skip ahead if you want to.
Growing up.
To now. So that was actually pointless of me to give you advice. I just always hear podcasts be like, spoiler, skip 3 minutes ahead or whatever. Should have warned you.
But we said it before.
Yeah, should have said it before. Lesson learned. It's our first time. Okay.
Okay, right. It's gonna be, we're gonna get better. There's only room for improvement. So if we start off bad, you can just go up from here.
Yeah, please leave a nice review anyways. Okay, be nice to us.
Please. So I'm going to start back from 10, 15 years ago. Sav, what was fitness for you? Were you from a fitness household? Did you do sports? Like junior high, 10-year-old Sav, what was movement to you?
Wow. Great question, Kelty. So I was raised by two bodybuilders, and they competed back yonder, like in their 20s. Like they didn't even have my brother and I yet. But I always thought that was really neat. And I kind of understood the gist that like my parents were like really ripped one time, and that they like went through this crazy transformation. And it was really cool to hear that. And from then on, like they just always were pretty active. Like I had a gym membership, like since I was able to get one, the age of, I don't even know what that is, like 15, something like that. But I, was put into sports. So I did gymnastics for a long time. Honestly, to be honest, I was not the best, but I did a lot of bars. That was my go thing. Yeah. Upper body strength was my jam. And then
I'm forever jealous of people who started with gymnastics.
Yeah. I wish that I could flip around now and be like, I was a gymnast. No, I'm not as flexible anymore. I lost it all, except I can do a back handspring occasionally, like if I wanted to try and, hurt myself. So I believe I could do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I got into volleyball because honestly, gymnastics was really lonely. It's kind of like you're on a team, but you're really just kind of competing for yourself.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that. So I went into volleyball, and there oh my gosh, I did it for like, who even knows, like 6 years. I loved it. I did club. I literally eat, sleep, breathe volleyball. That's like how I identified myself. Everyone kind of has that sport thing we're identified with when they were growing up. That was my jam. Then I just realized like I didn't want to do it in college. I was kind of burned out, wanted to like move on, go to college. So I did. and I was always active. So, just constantly doing volleyball 5 days a week, doing conditioning. And then I went to not having any structure, not having any coach telling me what to do. I didn't know how to work out. So that's kind of like what got me into being interested in fitness in general. I know you asked me as a child, but I just skipped straight to college and gave you a rundown.
Right there. You don't, right? You had Sparks notes it.
I did.
Just kidding. But we've never talked about it. Also dawned on me that we need to join a beach volleyball tournament, you and me, because I played volleyball my whole entire life. It was like volleyball.
How do we not know this about each other?
I know you said it, but like it never really dawned on me. And I was like, wait, doubles on a beach, you and me,
100%.
take on the world. Let's go. Let's challenge some other Gymshark athletes and be like, hey, volleyball.
Absolutely.
We can't squat as much as you, but my God, have you seen our sets and spikes? Let's go.
Oh, yeah. I was a libero for a really long time. So like, I love a good dig.
It's so satisfying.
What were you? What was your position?
I was left side, so I was power in my entire life. And the reason actually I chose basketball over volleyball, not to get into my story now, was because when I went to college and tryouts, they wanted me to play libero, and I was like, I want to smash girls in the face. Not actually, but I just love like that. But they just wanted, I would have just been serving and doing back row. So it was like, but I was a power through and through. But it's just so common very often that college people, as you know, like will scout liberos as like powers so they can kind of like do a bit of both. But then I was like, you know what, I'll go play basketball. So that was kind of the ceiling fact because I'm only 5'7" and a bit. And sadly in the volleyball world, unless you're like libero, they were like 5'10" and above only, please.
Yes, I know, right? Like I was way too short. I started out as a setter. Then I did right side hitting because I'm left-handed, and that's like tricky. And and so I would do that, but I'm short. I'm like 5'5". That's short for volleyball, So then they stuck me as libero because I could still hit with my left hand, and everyone would be like, "What the heck just happened?" But I totally get it. That's where I was like, I don't really see myself going. Like I don't have that height, and like honestly, I just kind of fell out of love with it. But we should definitely do beach. Michael and I did beach when we moved to Huntington Beach together. Right? Wow, how many times can I say beach? But we both played volleyball in college. Like I would do rec, and like he is pretty good at volleyball too. So we like had no friends, and so we would literally every single Friday, Saturday, and Sunday go play beach volleyball and like force people to play with us. We'd be like those dorks that would go up and be like, "Please play with me," and we were good. Like it's not like it was our we weren't rookies. So we would beat some people and it was fun. Then we kind of like got friends and we stopped playing. We haven't played in years, but I'm down. Let's do tournament. Gymshark, let's start a volleyball tournament right now.
Please normalize playing sports over past university. Like if you want to talk about a good way to get cardio and meet friends, because I feel a lot of people in our late 20s like have that problem. Like how do I meet friends? And like we're gonna like go over this like with you and that. And like I know something I dealt with, but like in the fitness community, that sports,
absolutely,
like adult sports, best way to like just be active and meet people.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like intramural rec, it's just for fun. There's okay, let's do it.
I love it.
Stay tuned. Now we'll let you know.
Coming soon. I'm going to retract because I want to know some bit more of the juice of your childhood.
Okay.
So I didn't realize your parents were bodybuilders, but how did, because you said they were like more in the past, like you knew they were shredded, but not at the time. Like how was your relationship with like food and nutrition and that with them? Because obviously people know bodybuilders as like the most strict, and I know some people grow up in households where it's like really healthy food, and other people it's like it's all junk food, and like it's very interesting to know someone's relationship with food with how they were raised and their parents' own relationship with food. And like I was curious like how that happened with you, because I feel you have an incredibly healthy one now, so I'm just curious like how your parents influenced that.
I mean my parents were great about that. Like they were supportive no matter what. Like I don't even know how to word that. Like my mom was a big cook. She cooked for us every night. She always made sure we had like a proper amount of greens and protein, and they would make me drink milk because back then, like if you're a 90s kid, you always had to drink milk. I hated it.
My body was built on milk. I feel that.
Hence why I'm lactose intolerant now. But like, I mean, I don't know. It really didn't. I can't think back. Like, they didn't really talk about their bodybuilding days. I just learned that like once I got more into fitness, and they were like, oh, did you know this? And I have these crazy pictures of them. And I know how they met was my dad was a trainer at a gym and my mom went to it. So I was like aware of that. But yeah, they were always really good about having us eat relatively healthy. Like, I wasn't allowed to have Pop-Tarts unless it was like a holiday. So Valentine's Day, they'd give me Pop-Tarts, and like I still have like fond memories of being like, I need a Pop-Tart on Valentine's Day. You know, like I wasn't allowed to have like sugar cereal, like things like that, but they were never like that strict. And that's kind of why I think I do like have a healthy relationship with it now, is like they just kind of set me up for success with that. And my mom's mother also was like extremely knowledgeable with nutrition with her kids. They had their own farm where they grew things. So I just think, we just always had kind of a baseline. Like, we weren't a big junk foodie family, but we still did it. You know, they were very big in moderation.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice. And like, I think that's becoming more the norm, but knowing in the 90s, I think it was kind of very polarizing. Either you're a super healthy house, like don't touch that, or like you had no idea about nutrition, so everything was processed, so you never grew a palate for healthy food. I feel like I have friends like that, and they try, and like I feel bad. I'm like, they didn't eat broccoli till they're 25, versus like my mom would give me broccoli and she'd drench it in cheese, so I ate it. But at least then eventually it was a little less cheese, but just butter, and then eventually you can just stomach that and just having that. But on the same side, I've also seen people, actually, ironically enough, TikTok has opened my eyes, like how many people are in like overly healthy houses that was like that food was never given, and so it was almost like this forbidden, and that can cause binge eating in itself. But that nice knowing your parents were like, Pop-Tarts are special, they're not an everyday food. And like it's nice when there's like a nostalgia to certain foods like that. Like I know we used to do pizza every Friday at my auntie's, and like pizza will forever, like once a week, that's just like I don't need it every day, but there's something about it. And not saying you can only have pizza on Friday, there's no science to it, and you don't only have to have Pop-Tarts on Valentine's Day, but there's a nice to have like the nostalgia and look forward to, and there's no negativity or guilt towards that food.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And like, you know, my mom always made cookies and things like that, and I have this like hilarious memory, and this is like how I learned, like going from, you know, as you're a child and like you're allowed to have sweets, but you have to be like, hey mom, can I have 2 cookies, whatever, right? Yeah. So I finally become this age, and we had a lake house where we'd have bonfires every night, and we'd always have s'mores. And I finally, I don't know, I probably hit like 10 years old, something like that, that I was like, how many s'mores can I have, Dad? And he was like, knock yourself out, as many as you want.
Oh God.
To teach me a lesson. No. Because I would like sneak s'mores and things behind his back. So I don't remember how much I ate, but I got so sick from it that I learned like moderation in that sense. I don't know if that's healthy. I have no idea, but like I find it hilarious. I find it like, I'm thankful he did that, because from then on I was like, s'mores are not meant to be eaten like 20 of them. You know, they're rich, there's a lot of sugar, they hurt your stomach if you have too many. And it's just funny. My parents were very much like that. Like, learn on your own, have at it. I'm sure everyone has that experience where they've eaten too much and their parents are like, I told you.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's like, there's no perfect parenting. And like some people be like, oh, this or that. But I think that's honestly beautiful of just knowing your kid in that moment, be like, we're going to teach them something. It's just like, right? Just like, it's like you say, and you're like, oh no, that wasn't fun. Like excessive amount of sugar isn't fun. Like I love it. The first few bites are good, but just knowing that like excess doesn't make something better. Having more of something doesn't make it better.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
Oh my God, I love that. But we're going to transition from, so that was your fitness in like growing up and you were the household, but
I positioned myself because I was like,
that's what
balancing it on me. Michael Scott.
There will be office. I have to resist myself because I'm like, it can't be show my millennial self too much with office quotes. I gotta fit in
like
with the Gen Z.
The Office isn't millennial. Do you?
It's universal. I don't know. I just feel it's not millennial, but it's like people who over abuse Harry Potter in Office. It's like, oh, I know how old you are. I'm like, true.
We know when you were born. Wait, that's actually very true. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like Harry Potter's not that hyped with Gen Z.
No, because it's like an over millennial thing. Just like when we were the young millennials and we'd look at adults and what would be
Dirty Dancing. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be like,
That's like
okay,
my
sure.
mom's. Yeah,
Like, that's
I don't
fun.
know. Yeah. I'm like,
That would my.
no, maybe like Backstreet Boys. Actually, you're a couple years older
Oh.
than me. I feel like were you?
I know. No, Backstreet Boys was like, I had a, like, no, I was Backstreet Boys, Spice Girls. That's millennial. Depends that's like a middle millennial.
Yeah, totally. Because my brother's 3 years older than me, and he loved Backstreet Boys. Yeah. But like I got into it because of him. But like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what would be like an 80s example. Like Back to the Future. That's what, I don't know why I think of stuff like that.
Love Back to the Future.
It's a good show, but I feel like that was like,
Yeah.
what are some 80 reference that gives away like an elder
John
millennial?
Travolta? Grease? Is that 80s?
I guess, yeah.
I don't know. Don't come at me.
I
have no idea.
That's why I was like, I don't know what it is because I'm not it.
Yeah, right?
Nothing against those.
No.
But we're going to transition to actually speaking of John Travolta and dancing and Back to the Future. There's no reference, but I'm just trying to pivot. College, party food, moving away from home. Mm-hmm. What happened after high school? So did you move away to college? Did you, like, what happened there? Fitness and that whole living situation.
Yeah, so I went to Washington State University in Pullman. Go Cougs, if anyone is from Washington. And honestly, I went there because I could afford it. I got a scholarship. I really wanted to go out of state in California. That was always my dream, but my family couldn't afford it. So I thought, okay, I'll go. And I'm thankful I did that because I don't have debt or anything like that. Nice. But it's basically this town in the wheat fields of Pullman, Washington, like an hour to any civilization, really. Besides this tiny college town. And really what you do is you eat, you drink, and you watch Netflix because it's really cold in the winter. You can't go anywhere. So yeah, so I basically got to college, did all three of those that I said, and I started gaining weight. And really, I just I didn't know what the heck was happening. And so I just started working out. At the time, I wasn't part of a sorority. I ended up joining like a semester later. So I had this whole semester where I was kind of lonely. I didn't have a lot of friends. So I started working out because I was like, I started gaining weight, and I think it's just because I'm not exercising as much. So I started exercising, but I would do like the classic, I go on the elliptical, I do some crunches. I was scared of weight because I saw those pictures of my mom and she was bulky, So I always thought like weightlifting would make girls bulky. So I just kind of stayed in this cardio center on the mats. Yeah. I remember I'd look downstairs and that was like this scary guy zone, and you'd never see girls there. And so I kind of did that for a semester and joined my sorority, and I liked fitness. I realized that I was really disciplined. I would always go by myself. I loved it. The gym was my happy place. So then kind of a couple years go by, I studied abroad in Spain, and I enjoy all the cookies and the croissants and the wine, and it was wonderful. And I just came back and I did not recognize myself at all. I had gained all this weight. So I was like, wow, what the heck? Because from that time I would kind of go to the gym here and there, whatever. And so when that happened, I was like, okay, I'll go back to the gym like I did freshman year. So I start to, and I'm not seeing change. So I'm like, I need to figure this out. I'm feeling really lethargic. So what I did was I joined CrossFit Club, and you did 2 months of intro where you really just work on stabilization, strength, endurance. And you have to get accepted into the club. So they have to be like, okay, your form is looking good. We feel like you can be in this club. So I get accepted. I start doing this club. I'm seeing my body change is crazy. It was I had no idea weightlifting was like this. At that time, there wasn't really fitness influencers. There wasn't, not to make myself sound ancient, but just Instagram was more for fun. And so I just really, where would I have seen weightlifting or anything like that aside from knowing my parents? So then I did CrossFit for a while, and I actually injured my back. So then I stopped doing it, and I just had a bad back from volleyball and things like that. And ended up graduating college that year. And Michael and I decided to move to California, not knowing anybody. I just like I said, I always wanted to get to California. So I said, hey, let's go. I'm coming. Love if you wanted to come too. And we go, and Michael has always been an entrepreneur. So he is this like big hobby guy with constantly working. And, you know, I really look up to that. Like he's always on the grind, but I had gotten like a 9-to-5 job that was remote, and I had like literally 0 hobbies at the time because I just graduated college. So I thought, I have this gym in this beautiful apartment. I might as well try and like incorporate CrossFit, like weightlifting, but there's got to be a better way to do this than like me injuring myself, than me just only being gung-ho CrossFit. So that's kind of where I started finding like the Gymshark community. I started finding fitness influencers that kind of just preached on like, you know, incorporating weightlifting, but it doesn't have to be so intense like I felt like it was at CrossFit, you know? So that's kind of how I really got into that. Was I just started researching like podcasts and YouTube videos. And that's when fitness influencers really started to like kind of pop out. So I just started looking at their pages, taking all their advice. And it was a big like ego thing for me to be like, I like should try a different approach than what I've done previously with my body and see if it works. So I would literally apply their techniques.
Well, we had a little technical difficulty, so there's a little skip. This might not be smooth, but while I got you, Rebecca listening, please go drink some water, where we are severely worried about your hydration. And back to Sav's story.
Yeah, I guess where did I leave off? I basically said that I really just got into researching online and applying it, and I started seeing my body change it took like 6 to 8 months, but it's like an addiction when you see your body change, you know? You're like, oh, this is so cool. It's like a artwork. Like I'm very creative, and like that was like something like it's a masterpiece. I was like, oh my gosh, I can completely transform my body as if it's like a sculpture. So yeah, that kind of summarizes. I know you asked like a completely different question, but that's me in a nutshell. That was my journey on how I really kind of found fitness and like how I made it tailored to me. I just kind of took advice here and there. I started doing a lot of research, and really looking into it. And then I just learned to apply everything to what I wanted. And I would do like trial and error. Like, you know, at first I tried only weightlifting and not doing any cardio. Does not work well with my body at all. And I felt really lethargic if I was trying to run up a hill. I realized how important like cardiovascular health is for you. So yeah, I kind of tweaked it. And now that's really how I got here was, you know, those fundamentals that I learned right out of college, living in California, not knowing anyone.
Yeah. Oh, it's so nice. And I think what you said is like probably one of the most empowering things of fitness, and that I learned, and I still constantly remind myself, but you are literally capable of doing anything. It just takes time. And the more knowledgeable you are, and the simple that like, if you want a bigger butt, you can grow a bigger butt. Obviously genetics come in, but if you're like, no, I'd like to run 10K. Like sometimes I know it sounds so obvious, but like you start running and you're like, oh, this won't get easier. You're like, this is so hard. And it's crazy how no matter what, we'll use running as a really obvious example. You run for a kilometer and you're like, this is so painful. This is so bad. It's crazy. You just do it every day. It just eventually one day gets easier. And like, that's kind of like fitness. And it is such a cool thing. Obviously there's genetics and there's a lot of science, and we can go into all that eventually over time. But with weight training, there's the proper way to not hurt yourself and optimize so you get there faster. But it is really empowering, and especially physically seeing it as well, of like, I'm doing this and you're like, oh, I'm changing something. Like I'm actually getting results. Like I'm not just doing this to do this. And I think that's why a lot of people get discouraged in fitness, because they just like every day grow to hate the gym, because you're like, it's just a chore. It's like, why am I doing this? But once you have results, humans are very result driven. And so that's why I'm so glad you found that. And I think weight training is such a good one. And when you can find that community, and even though CrossFit's like a polarizing topic, it is nice, whatever that intro is. And just, you're so lucky you got that foundation with these, just even doing that 2-month course, and like how important that is.
Yeah.
To anyone starting out, realizing like just growing that foundation and just having like a base, especially you went from athlete to CrossFit and then growing from there, just like sets you up so much for the future.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I am so thankful I even like stumbled upon that class, because we would literally train with like sticks, like pretending they were a barbell to just get our form correct. And to even learn like, you know, what muscles are you activating? Like it was so informative, and it was the coolest thing. I know like it's pretty rare to have like an intro to CrossFit. But I was so lucky that I literally took that by myself. Like I had a guy friend do it and then he ended up studying abroad. So I finished it all alone and had an amazing coach that like believed in me. And I don't know, I didn't have a lot of friends in it because I was in a sorority and, you know, like, I just think people generalized me as like this girl that just is in this sorority and doesn't take lifting serious. Like, I don't know, I like would try and make friends and it just would go like horribly south and like they just wouldn't want anything to do with me. So I would like literally avoid wearing like the sorority things on my t-shirts because of it. And that one coach like did not care what I was doing. You know, he's like, you don't have to be a gym rat. Like I wasn't a gym rat, you know? So I appreciate that so much.
Those people. Oh, they're so nice. And I'm so happy you had that.
Yeah. Right. I mean, if he was to look me up now, he'd probably be like, dude, see, and that's why I didn't like just write her off. And now I am a fellow gym rat.
Yeah. And that's why I was like, never write off anybody ever. Like anyone who's trying something, don't be like you said, the classic, like I can't, lack of returns, think of like two more like polar opposite, like sorority versus CrossFit. Like, do you know what I mean? And just like, don't instantly be like, oh, she's a sorority girl. Like, don't come here. Like when someone sees potential in you, like just be so thankful for those people. And if you're seeing someone seems out of place, being like, you never know. That person has like ambitions towards something, and just like, it's so nice knowing you had a coach like that. And if you are starting your fitness journey and people don't believe in you and there's gyms that aren't giving you that, like there's so many welcoming gyms. There's more welcoming than not. But if you find yourself in one that's not, that's a rarity. Get out.
Yeah, I completely agree.
But actually, I want to go back to this. I don't even know how to phrase this, but if you don't know and you're listening, I'm Canadian. I'm not from the States. And so sometimes we look down on you in America and it's just like a pop culture to us. Like it doesn't seem like a sorority doesn't seem real to me. Like there is sororities in Canada, no shade to my sororities in Canada. They're just not like the States. Like people, it's just not a common thing to do. Like I can name like 3 friends that did sororities kind of thing out of everyone I met. It's just not common versus I feel Greek culture, just because of media, is so prominent. What was it like in terms of, because it's a fitness and health podcast, but I'd be just interested, like what was the partying like? What was the fitness? What was the food? Like now, how was that?
Yeah, honestly, it was crazy. I mean, I like went to college and like my parents were like, you know, we're going here because I can afford it. Like a sorority is an added cost. That's not it's not a necessity for your tuition. Yeah. So I didn't join that first semester. And then my parents were like, you know what, you really like, I'm very social. I'm a very like, want to be with people. So they're like, you know, you're not that happy here. You know, we're going to help you out with the sorority. So that's when I like picked up a job. They were helping me out. And I'm trying to think of like how to go about this. I joined it and because there's really nothing else to do at that college except kind of drink because you're in wheat fields and, you know, kind of go to parties really, essentially. And the Greek life was like huge. And if you weren't part of Greek life, they called you a bad word. I'm not even going to say it. And they would say it to your face. And it was just like bullying, right? Like I look back at that and I'm like, ew, what? But you know, I'm young. I want to be accepted. I'm 18. I don't know anybody. So I joined this. I live in the sorority and like, it is the cookie cutter thing you do. Like literally the movies. Yeah. I mean, clearly they're not as accurate, but you live in a mansion. What? Like we had cooks. We had these houseboys. I was just telling Nona about this. Nona was so fascinated. We would have houseboys that would cook and clean for us. Yeah. And they were just like frat guys that got hired on. And the girls, like you would hear stories of the frat guys like hooking up with all the like girls in the sorority. And it was hilarious. Yeah. You would hear such tea about that kind of stuff. But yeah. And so essentially I joined and I partied. I did all that kind of stuff. You would go to like fun parties. There were exclusive parties that no one could really go to, that kind of stuff. But then honestly, I got burnt out. I did that for 2 years? A year and a half. I loved it. Then I was kind of like, I'm not really into like being hungover all the time. And I just felt like a lot of the girls weren't as genuine. And I don't know. I just like, I would find myself at a party being like, I'd rather be in bed with like popcorn, watching Netflix. So that, you know, I feel like a lot of people probably that are in Greek life like relate to that as they get older, especially my senior year. I mean, I dropped out of my sorority. I was like, you know what, this is like not really me anymore. Like I found my friends through it. I'm really thankful. I got my best friend Jordan through that sorority. And like, honestly, what's kind of sad though, is like, I don't even really talk to most of those girls anymore. Like it was very surface level. It was very much like, you know, social and just statusy at that school. I don't know. But you definitely have wild nights and I don't regret it. And it was really fun. And I think like, you know, it led me to my friend Jordan, but with fitness, like as I was getting more into fitness and becoming interested, it wasn't really that hard because I just kind of would do my own thing. But it was funny because the girls knew that I was really consistent at going to the gym. So they would be like, Sav, next time you go, let me know. Like I would literally have girls following me, like 5 girls coming. I'd post in our like Facebook page in our sorority and be like, hey, I'm going to go to the gym in 30. Who wants to come? And they would always be like, yeah, let's do it. Like I loved that. Like I would hold them accountable in a sense. And like they had someone that they could always look for that was going to go to the gym. So that was neat. That was cool. Yeah. But definitely no one I really knew was interested in fitness like I was.
I want to pop in while you're talking about this, something that anyone listening in college right now in the party phase, embrace it, enjoy it, get it out of your system. Fitness is, if you can try and do fitness and eat healthy, that's awesome. Do it. But like, if you have that desire to go out and see people and you have FOMO, not do it. Do it while you're young. Do it while you can still recover and not get that much sleep and still do fitness and still make it to the gym. And you almost want to get to that place because just being up in Canada, for example, a lot of people don't get that like quote unquote party Greek-like phase. I feel very lucky because I played sports and then went on to be a bartender that I got a very classic college experience that not a lot of people did versus a lot of my high school friends didn't. And to this day, they always have that like, I wish I'd gone down to the States and gone to parties. It's just like, it's such a small token in like time in life. That's maybe 1, 2, 3 years. After like 2 years, maybe 3 at the most, you're like burnt out of it. And you're like, I never want to go. And I think I resonate with that. You resonate with that. At no point, if you're like, Kelty, you got to go back to college and party tour. I'm like, vomit, get me away. I do not want that. But I did it. And it was like such a fun time. So if you're in it, and that's why even fitness isn't so black or white. Like it's a fun time and it's okay to enjoy it and fully get out of your system. Because sometimes I think we need to just get stuff out of our system versus being 45 and having a midlife crisis and cheating on your wife. Like there's a lot better times to have your little bit wild, fun times and just enjoy it and be as healthy as you possibly can and be safe. And of course, there's a lot of factors which we'll get into. But if you're in this and feeling guilty about that party phase because the fitness industry online is telling you that like you have to be counting your macros, you have to have your like wellness culture is almost getting to the point that like I'm like, you don't always have to be perfectly wholesome every single day. It's okay if you miss some hours of sleep. Try to sleep when you can. Worry about your mental and physical health, but also you want to look back at some of the best memories and just enjoy those moments you have right now. And so I'm so glad you got that.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I think that's why we have so much in common with starting this podcast was like we wanted to be like an example in the sense of like you can literally live the life you want to live. There is no like cookie cutter way. I feel like you're right. Like sometimes on social media it's so extreme and like you and I have been influencers in this space and I know that people have like judged me off of like if I have drinks with you know, like my friends or whatever. Like, I know like, it's like a weird topic people don't talk about. And it's like, there's nothing wrong if you don't want to
fully.
do
We're
that.
not saying you have to
There's
drink.
nothing wrong. No, literally like do whatever you want to do. That's literally all Kelty and I are ever trying to say is like, just do whatever you want to do. If that's what you want to go for it. And you can still be a fit chick. You can still be this fitness gal. Like there's no one can tell you what's like the right way to go about it.
And what we hope though, that you can learn from our mistakes as well, because you're allowed to have that. But there's also some tricks. I've picked up many of ways to not get hungover, to get to the gym after a night of drinking, to still get proper sleep. So we will also hopefully let you guys in on some of those secrets if you are in that phase. And like you said, at the end of the day, though, it's about doing what you want. You just don't want to live with regrets. And that's so cheesy. We're getting cheesy right off the start. But I think just not living with regrets is such an important place to be. And you don't want to be 26 being like, should have partied then versus now. And it's a nice to like just live the seasons 100%. Of your life. And even when you said like those friends, it's sad. Like I have plenty of friends like that from college I don't talk to anymore. But it's less of a, we're no longer friends. I was like, no, they were a beautiful season and you can enjoy those friends and they were what they were. And I got 1 or 2 great friends out of it. And if you get that, that's okay. So just kind of enjoy your time with friends. Like what's the classic? Let's hit them with a quote. It's like some people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And like college is very much a season, and just enjoy it while you're there. Just enjoy it.
And I can promise you this, if you're in college and like, you know, I near the end was like not really enjoying it. That's when I dropped out of my sorority. That's when I really picked up CrossFit. I was like trying to learn to do anything to get out of like that zone. It's not the best years of your life. So if you felt that way that I did, like I even felt alone. Like I felt weird for even being interested in fitness. Like I said, like none of my friends wanted to do CrossFit. And that was totally fine. Yeah. But then once I became an adult, could choose where I wanted to live, choose who I wanted to associate with and what I wanted to do. That's when I started meeting like-minded people and all of that kind of stuff.
Oh my God. That actually brings me to kind of your next chapter in line of like when you started your fitness account, when you started posting online, and like you said, when you started Instagram, we're going to date ourselves, but like remember like 10, it's not even 10, like 8 years ago or whatever it was, there were some people doing fitness on Instagram, but fitness wasn't in. Like now you go in the gym and it's amazing and I love it. And like, there's so many girls lifting weights and just like confident and know their stuff. And just even like, that's why we have online communities just full of like, our audience is so smart. And that's what I love. Like they get us. They're not just sitting there like doe-eyed, like I'm so confused. Like it's becoming more normalized girls in the gym. But way back when it wasn't. There was definitely this bridge in the last 8 years. And I'm just curious, like what got you posting fitness on Instagram? Like what got you, did you have intentions of like growing an account? Were you just doing fitness? Like where did your whole fitness online start?
Yeah. I mean, I it's so weird because once I found like that online community, I found influencers I was like loving their content. It was so helpful. It was balanced exactly what I wanted. Or even like when I found the Gymshark community, like I will never forget when I like bought my first pair of leggings and then found the community that like, you guys like to work out too? Like, wait, I'm not weird for like being that noob that like wants to, you know, there's always those people that like get annoyed if you're like, oh, I can't go to like brunch. I'm like going to the gym, you know? These people like get it. They're like, yeah, I totally understand. Like prioritize yourself. So really, I just started posting on my story and my body had changed like drastically. And like people that have followed my journey, you see like it just went, I mean, I never thought I looked bad. I never thought like, oh, she looks horrible or anything like that. It was more like I felt lethargic. I like just didn't feel like myself. And like, yeah, there was days I was like, I don't want to be in a bikini. Like I just didn't feel like myself. So that's really when I started changing my body. So a lot of those girls were like, what the heck did you do? Yeah. And they were girls from my sorority that like still followed me. They're like, you moved to California and like your body is like totally different from what we knew you for these 4 years. And I was like, dude, like I started weightlifting. I started being intentional with my cardio. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. So I literally like had phone calls with some gals. I helped them out. I remember like suggesting certain things to them, like for workouts, whatever it was. And then they were like, why don't you just share this? Like, cause I was getting so many people messaging me and I felt like it was so time consuming. I still work this corporate job. So like, why don't you share it? Like you follow these fitness influencers, like, why don't you try it? And I was like, oh. And I didn't really think anything of it. Like, I didn't think I would grow. Yeah. Like, it seemed like a 1 in a million shot, you know? Like, it just seemed so, like, not tangible that I was like, you know, I'm just going to post for me. And I was really just posting for those girls that were like, please, I want to see it. It motivates me. I love seeing your stories. So that's really how I started, was I just was, like, posting it for my friends that were asking. And then I was like, you know, I love this. And for a really long time, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And it, like, terrified me, which it's completely normal. At that time, I was, 22. I just graduated college. There's nothing wrong with me not knowing what I wanted to do. But I just was like, what is my calling? Like, what is my happy thing? Like, I wasn't happy in that corporate job. And once I started posting, I was like, this is it. Yeah. And I just loved it. Like, I love everything in our job. Of course, there's downs, but like the pros outweigh the cons so much. And just like getting to be yourself, be your own boss, help women and men, and just promote like positive things and balanced lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like that's a big thing that I'm into, is like, you don't have to be extreme. And I don't want to teach you that. I want to teach you realistic, like longevity. Why do we do these things for like the long run, not just like temporary? So that's really like how I kind of just got into posting, and it just like skyrocketed. Like within a year, I had like grown my Instagram from like it was just my personal Instagram from like 500 people to like 150,000 within a year. And it was crazy. Yeah. And I mean, I would use hashtags. I would just post my workouts. Like back then I would only post my workouts, and it's crazy because I look back at that, like those posts, and I looked so different. Like I was just getting into fitness. I was just getting into like, I'd finally seen my body change, but I hadn't even put on like muscle yet, or it's just crazy. It's so cool that like, you know, I also am glad I posted it for myself to look back at and like remind me like where I started.
Yeah, fully. And I think that's why like so many people are attracted to you online, and like it definitely feels like you're growing with your audience, and that like you were the friend, like, and that's why I feel like you even started with personal account, like you were the friend that got into shape, and it's like, how did I do that? How can I join this? And you've like grown with them, and these people are on this journey that they look to you for guidance, but it's also like, we're in this together. And like you gotta look back, like you say, and be like, look how much I've grown, and like look how much my community's grown with me. And like that's such a cool thing. And that's why I resonate as like storytelling. Like I've always loved that, because I love fitness. I think is such a great like metaphor for storytelling. I think that's just humans, like just knowing like a journey. And that's why I think so many of us love it. Like it's so cool. You get to see that journey of your life, and it kind of is a great representations of different chapters you were going through your own fitness journey, of just like it's physical, but it's a very mental change of like how you become more confident and powerful and start your own business and be empowered. And like that's what's such a cool thing. It, like you said, it's almost a metaphor for everything going on in life.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny when like I look back at those, and like I even just look back at my older content, like I'm just so different from what I used to be. You know, I feel like a lot of people, you and I've talked about this, that you fall into fitness, it's that drug that you're like, I love this. Oh my gosh. You go all in on it. And I went full throttle, and I burned out. I look back at that and I'm like, why was I so strict with myself? And why was I slaving away? And like now I'm older, and I realize like that's not what I want for my life. I want to not have all those restrictions. I want it to feel not just like a hobby, but just a full lifestyle. Because back then it was like this crazy hobby for me. Here it's like, this is my life. This is what I do. And it doesn't have to be defined as anything. Like this is just how I live my life, and it makes me feel good. So it's cool to even look back at that, because I feel like I even learned from myself that I was like, wow, I don't want to be extreme. Like that's not my thing. I tried it. Clearly everyone else can now see that too. Like back when I started my fitness journey, and it's just, yeah, it's crazy.
It's so funny how many of us resonate online with that. And like, it's funny now seeing people on that stage, but like, I remember when you first get into it, you learn a little knowledge, and that knowledge works. And so you think you know the world, and you think you know the answers to everything. And so that works. So that's all you can do. And you're very tunnel vision, you're very extreme, and you're full of yourself because you have this ego, because you found the holy grail. And then over time, you start to see all the flaws in it. And then you start to see other people's perspective. And then you start to accompany, and like this is where I feel we both resonate a lot, of like the more you know, the more you don't know. And so like the more you become knowledgeable and stuff, you start to realize like, oh, there's so many things I've not even cracked the surface on. And that's why you become a little less strict, because you're like, oh, it's not so black or white. It's not so much you have to count every macro, then you have to work out for exactly 30 minutes. You have to also like, and you got to figure out what works for you and what you enjoy and what won't burn you out. Because if one thing's for sure, that extreme, rigid, blind eye just will burn you out. And even like you could use sports as an example. Like that's a classic. People be like, oh, well, hyper focused on that. I was like, yes, but at the same time, the biggest athletes I know, not personally, I don't know LeBron James, but I mean, those people, we can use Kobe Bryant as an example, RIP, but he was doing like documentaries and storytelling, and he had like a creative side on top of it. So like you start to realize like tunnel vision will burn you out and make you hate whatever you're doing. And that's why fitness has to be a full lifestyle. And I think you might've said this even like 10 minutes ago, but you were talking about how it made you have so much more energy. And I think that's such a great reminder, finding that like, if anything you're doing in fitness depletes you, obviously after a hard workout, you'll be depleted. But I mean, overall, you should be more energetic in life. You should have more energy and inspired. And it should be really like fuel for your mental health. And as soon as it's like diminishing, that's when you're like, this is a red flag. This is a red flag.
Yeah, 100%. And I really just like learned working out for me was more of like longevity aspect. Like, yes, it is great to have a banging body.
Oh yeah.
Like that's amazing to see that result. But like in the end, like you said, like you have more energy, or even like I still look at my parents that don't do the bodybuilding anymore, but my mom runs like 5 miles a day. Like she got into running. My dad, he gets into HIIT sprints. Like it's crazy. Like they're, you know, at their age in their 50s and they're doing this. And I look up to that because I want to be that person that like takes care of her body to where, and when I'm 50, I don't have those pains to run. And like, I can keep up. And like, that's a huge thing on like why I work out is like, I want to treat my body as well as I can right now to set it up for success as I get older.
Oh yeah. And I think something that hopefully even we can normalize this, like the fitness industry, the online social media, is I don't want to even use the term like ageism, but there's kind of this belief that like you hit 30 and everything's over. Even you could say hit 25, that like I even have a lot of friends who are in like late 20s, early 30s, and they're like, oh, my body's broken. Like I'm sore. I can't do this. Like everything aches, And like, trust me, there is injuries, hormonal changes. Like we're not going to get into like fertility right now. I'm not talking about that, but I'm just talking longevity. Every year since I was 21, I've gotten in more shape and I felt better and I felt less hurt and less injured. Now there's a few things I am aware I have to warm up a little bit more, but I think it's becoming aware with your body. And that's where I think having fitness and that whole aspect of this like longevity, as you said, is going to mean like that peak age you are at 25 is extended. And a lot of people don't realize like that's what media is painted. 25, you're no longer allowed to be on a camera. You're no longer allowed to have these big fitness goals. You're broken. You're dead. Have a kid. Bring them to school. That's it. And like it's sad. But when you treat your body well and not those extremes, and you have that longevity, suddenly, like you said, I know both of our parents are like that. They're runners in their 60s. I know people who can jump and dunk in their 50s, 60s, 70s. Like you're not. And that's why fitness is so important. Like you said, the banging body is just like the icing on the cherry on top.
Yes, 100%.
It's kind of your nice little reward. It's your dessert to your dinner.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have a friend here. He lives near, and he's so interesting. He is so like passionate about what he does. He's a naturopathic doctor that like focuses on anti-aging. And it is so fascinating to hear him talk about his work and like talk about his clients and how he helps like people that have like these chronic pains when they're 50, and he'll reverse it. Like he'll teach them whether it's their food, whether it's like certain exercises. But it was so fascinating. I asked him like, what got you into this? Like I've never met somebody that focuses on anti-aging and even wants, you know, to be a doctor for that. And he said, as a kid, I never understood why older people were like in pain and being like, oh, it's my knee, my knee hurts, and being like, my back hurts or whatever. He was like, why is that acceptable? Why do we have to feel that? So he believed that like you don't need to feel that in that age. It's like how you're taking care of your body.
Yeah.
And it's so neat. And you know what's crazy is I asked him when he told me about this, I'm like, I bet you are older than you look. He looked to me like 25, 27. He was in his 40s. No. And I was like, dude, I mean, practice what you preach. Clearly it's
sign me up. Sign me up.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. But it's just crazy. It's so neat to meet those kinds of people that have this different outlook on life and different outlook on our bodies than like mainstream or like what's accepted right now, you know?
Oh my God, I love that. And I think that's even like we're talking this podcast will be very much like fun. We'll talk drunk stories. We'll talk about our fitness. But then I also would love to we hope to bring on conversation with interesting people that have those different perspectives that can teach it, and showing fitness, not just how small can your waist be? How big can your butt be? We'll cover those because they're sexy topics, but at the same time talking about like, how does fitness and eating influence our skin, our hair, our longevity, Botox, plastic surgery. Well, we're going to be talking about plastic surgery, all those kind of things. And we want to cover those on from our own experiences and then also from other people. And that's what I really hope this goes. And so I thought a nice little cherry on top to just kind of wind up your fitness journey is you kind of explained where you're up to from here. Where do you see yourself, including this podcast or not, but just yourself in the next 5-10 years in the fitness industry, like, or on social media and entertainment? Where is your goals and where are you hoping we're going?
Oh, Kelty, this is like such a hard question. You know,
I know.
I'm going to come back swinging harder. It's so mean. When people ask me this, I'm like, oh my goodness, I have no idea.
The world could end tomorrow, Kelty. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm living one day at a time. But no, I mean, I have put thought into it. Like, I mean, I love my career. I feel like I am just really getting started in this. Like I, started a couple years ago, and I feel like I finally found who I really was. And really, I've just grown this past year so much because I've moved a million times. If you guys follow me, you know that I've literally moved across the entire country multiple times. And like, I just finally feel like I'm confident in me and I'm excited to share that. So I don't see myself leaving this community, getting burned out anytime soon. I would love to continue to grow my platforms and reach, change women and help them with their mindsets. And like, my big thing is I want to help people that were like me, that thought you had to have the extremes, because all those influencers I used to watch were extreme. And I never met anybody and never watched anyone that was all about balance. And that's like so important to me, is like teaching women like, hey, you don't have to be so intense with your diet all the time. You don't have to eat clean every single time, like all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know, to be decided, but in the next 5 to 10 years, I hope to, I really don't know. Would you even have that answer? You probably do. I feel like you're a planner. So Kelty's looking at me like, yes, I do, ma'am.
I have 8 vision boards. Just kidding. Manifest.
Yeah, I know. I made my vision boards, but they're a year in advance, ma'am. But yeah, we're just going to keep trugging along. It's going to be a surprise for you all. But, one day I would love to, I'm very like entrepreneur driven. So I'm excited to kind of open that aspect even more with this. And yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm going to be asking you that on your next one. And so at least I warned you.
Yes. It's more mean because I just hit that on you. So first I got time to think about it. But I just see one day you having this massive fitness empire, and who knows, we take this podcast on the road and we come meet some of you guys and we have some cool conversations, and that's what we're hoping we really get across. And even like what you said there, like we will never say you have to be intuitive eater, you have to track your calories, you have to weight lift, you have to be a runner, you have to drink this way. We're going to bring on some interesting things, and we just want to open perspectives, have some fun stories, and then whoever we bring on might resonate with you and you'd be like, I'm going to try this works for me. But by no means we're going to be like, this is how you do it. Let's just have curious conversations with each other, some drunk stories, some funny stories in the gym, and then hopefully with some other people, interesting people you guys will enjoy.
And yeah, I mean, totally. Is it the saying, take it as a grain of salt?
Yes. Take everything with a grain of salt.
Like, yeah. Because I feel like people, even when they listen to certain influencers, they're like, oh my gosh, I must follow exactly. And that's like not what we want to get across in this podcast at all. It's like, you do you, boo. Listen, have some laughs, and at the end of the day, do what's best for you.
Fully. Because like me and Sav could both do the exact same things and look completely different, sound completely different,
100%.
like it doesn't matter. So you got to figure out what works for you, and that's what we're going to do. So thank you for, go on.
Oh, well, I was going to say, for the future of this podcast, honey, we're going to have some fun things. I feel like we should do, I know we've talked about this, but I'm going to tell our listeners, because let me know if you want to do it. One day we should do like a fun tour where we go to some cities and we just have like a crazy night where we film like a live podcast, but it's like fun dancing in between, like having fun drinks and just like kind of incorporating it all. Like that would just be the best of the best. I would love it, That's
the goal. Give us 2 months, 3 months, and right before it. COVID, you keep these borders open, and then we are coming for you. We're going to travel. We're going to go.
We're coming.
I don't know, LA. I come down to you, and we just have like some girls' nights out, and we bring you guys out with us. I love it. And so I love it. So actually, we should, to wrap this up, we're new. So sorry if you're like, okay.
Yeah, you're like 2
what are with
hours
these segments?
later.
But you know what? It was just good. It's always good chats with you. Mm-hmm. But I should say, hit subscribe. Give us a 5-star review. We have an Instagram. What is the Instagram? Sav set it up.
Hitting the bars.
hitting the bars, just like our name. And then we will do some questions, answers there, because we got some segments we want you guys to be about with us. Some embarrassing gym moments, embarrassing drunk stories. So if you want to be a part of that, check out our Instagram. And next week's episode, you'll be hearing my story, I guess.
Yes, we get to hear Kelty's whole story. And really, we just wanted to do the first couple like episodes of just like get to know us, because if you're new here, we want to welcome you with big arms, but I also feel like you're probably like, who the heck are you guys? What are you even talking about? So it's always nice to get to know each other a little bit deeper. It's going to be a good time. I'm excited.
Exactly. So the future episodes will be more of us together and less interview style, but this is just the foundation. Get to know us versus you're like, who's this girl? She can't make jokes like that. What's she talking about? Like, well, now you know. Now you know where we come from.
Now you know. You know we are overshares and we talk a lot.
But thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. Do we have an outro? We have no outro.
We will see you next week and we will work on the outro. That's a promise.
We will. There. That will be our outro. Outro pending. Bye.